Yay Media Group.
So if I'm meeting somebody, I tell them that I do art that feels good because, you know, we can, if as artists, we can put things out into the world that are dark in content or even dark visually. And that's fine because sometimes you need to be in that place. You go see a movie that's a horror story, or something like you're listening to a sad song or a dark song, because we're both good and evil, that we're in everything in between. That's what makes us human. So some artists put that out into the world, and that's fine. I choose to meet you when you are feeling good. And so what I want to put out into the world is what feels good. So people meet me in the same way. That's my audience, right? When you return back to feeling good, then my art meets you there.
A quick note before we dive into today's podcast. If you like what you hear, I would love for you to subscribe to Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, wherever you download your podcast. It would also be incredible if you take a minute to rate and review this podcast. Those things do matter, and they really help us. I'm Molly Kimball. Welcome to Fueled, a wellness and nutrition podcast. I'm a registered dietitian and nutrition journalist with a passion to help people live their strongest, healthiest life possible. In my weekly TV segments and columns, there's a limited amount of time and space to cover everything, but there's so much more to share. This podcast is my opportunity to dive deeper into the topics you want to know about. Terrance Osborne's paintings are instantly recognizable. They have that bold color, the movement, that unmistakable spirit of New Orleans. Behind that work, though, is something deeper. There's a mindset there, something that sustains creativity for decades. So how does an artist maintain that type of energy, that positivity, that peacefulness, the focus, that joy throughout his work for so many years? What routines, habits, perspectives, what's in there to help nourish and protect that creative space? So today we are sitting down with New Orleans artist Terrance Osborne to talk about the life behind the canvas, those influences that have shaped him, the mentors who have guided him, and the daily practices that help him to keep creating. I've admired Terrance Osborne's painting for such a long time. His paintings, they just feel alive. They're full of color, movement, celebration. They capture the essence of New Orleans that can be hard to put into words, but it's so easy to recognize. And he's always intrigued me as much as his work, as the person behind the work. Anytime I've had any interaction with Terrance, any interview that I've seen with him, there's a strong sense of clarity, this strong peace that surrounds him. There's a kindness, a spirit that shows up in Terrance, but also in his work itself. So today, I wanted to sit down with Terrance and explore that a little more deeply. How to get here? What shaped him as an artist? What shaped him as a person? And what does he do to sustain that creativity, that energy, that spirit in a life, in a world that demands constant creative output? We'll talk about growing up, the mentors who have influenced him, the path that led him to become a full-time artist, and the habits, those perspectives that help him stay grounded today. So we'll see where this conversation takes us. So welcome, Terrance.
Thank you, Molly. That was great. What you all the stuff you talked about. Let's see if I can live up to that.
I think there's so many questions that I have that are kind of swirling in my head.
It's always good. Really.
I kind of don't even know where to start.
Yeah. Well, that's always a good place to start. Because typically whenever I'm working and I don't know where to start, the possibilities are endless. So it's a good, I think the natural way is to just do what moves you. I think going with energy is the best place to start if you don't know.
Well, thank you. That just took a lot of pressure off of this conversation moving forward. So someone who's not familiar, if they haven't walked into your gallery, if they haven't seen your work, if you're just meeting someone for the first time, how do you describe your work and kind of your professional space?
So like if they haven't seen it before?
Right.
Oh, yeah. So if I'm meeting somebody, I tell them that I do art that feels good because, you know, we can, if as artists, we can put things out into the world that are dark in content or even dark visually. And that's fine because sometimes you need to be in that place. Or you go see a movie that's a horror story, or something like you're listening to a sad song or a dark song, because we're both good and evil, that we're in everything in between. That's what makes us human. Um, so some artists put that out into the world, and that's fine. I choose to meet you when you are feeling good. And so what I want to put out into the world is what feels good. So people meet me in the same way. That's my audience, right? When you return back to feeling good, then my art meets you there.
Did you know you grew up here in New Orleans? Your family, you had people in your family they had an element of creativity. Tell me about that.
Yeah, my mom did art as a hobby
What type
for
of art?
most of my childhood. It was serene type, like beachy scenes, flower scenes, nature, stuff like that.
Like painting, like watercolor?
She
or
did pastel mostly, some drawing, a little bit of watercolor. My stepfather did drawing as well. And then my oldest brother did these cars and muscle men. So,
So you had it from all aspects around your
yeah,
family.
yeah, everybody. No one made a career out of it, but I was always influenced by it.
When did you first realize that there was something about your talent that was different than other kids your age?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever figured that part out as a child. I really thought, I didn't think it was anything special. I just thought I'd like to do it, and I admired other people who did it. But I really thought until college, I thought anybody could do it.
Really?
Yeah. And then,
Wow.
so during my freshman year, there was this professor who I told him that, and he said, Terrance, I gave my kids an assignment, and the assignment was, if you died today and could be reborn tomorrow as anything that you wanted to be, what would it be? And they said, oh, I'd be a famous singer. I'd be a famous dancer. I'd be a famous artist. He was like, what you're living right now is what everyone would like to live. So I was like, oh,
And that was your freshman year of
that was my
college.
freshman year of college. So that resonated with me. And I stopped taking it for granted as much. And,
Because by then you already were painting. You'd already sold some paintings by that age.
yeah, I started selling my work in 10th grade.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, my first piece for like $55.
I've read a little bit about it and sort of how that came about, but tell us that whole journey, because I think about myself in high school, and if I did have such a talent, then as a kid, how do you learn it? How do you hone it? How do you even have an outlet to sell your work?
Yeah, so well, luckily, really my first hustle was like the kids in my class would bring their clothing to school, like some jeans, something like that, and they wanted me to draw Bart Simpson and Mickey Mouse and all that. So that was really my first hustle.
And they would pay you for it.
Yeah, $10 to $20 of
That's awesome. But back then, that's also they got to really want these.
Yeah, that was they were
coveted.
Good. Oh yeah.
Do any of those jeans do you know anybody that still has them?
No.
How cool
well,
would that be?
I did it with like permanent marker, which you put that thing in the washing machine one time, it's over. If I were doing it now, I'd do it with fabric paint.
Right.
So but I didn't know. So
Right.
I wouldn't guess any of those have survived.
That's awesome.
But luckily, so I went to NOCA. My teachers encouraged me, the ones who pulled me out of my classes and had me to do their billboards for them, or bulletin boards.
Right. Because that's a lot of pressure on teachers. So they're like, oh, wait. You can make it look better.
They would think, oh, that student who could draw. And Terrance, so they pull me out of other classes, which I'd love. You mean tell me I can pass math and
Right.
I don't have to go to math.
Right.
I can work on your bulletin board. So I did that, and the teachers would tell me you should apply to NOCA. So NOCA I met this guy named Fred, who took me to this artist named Richard Thomas. He took me to his gallery. It's the first time I met a professional, like working artist. And so with him, I sold my first piece at his gallery for $55. And then that really got me thinking I didn't think I could make a career out of art. Because, society tells you, even your parents sometimes, oh, you're going to be a starving artist. Don't even look in that direction. Like go be a lawyer or a doctor or something like that.
And you could do this on the side, but you need to have a steady thing.
Right.
Richard Thomas, I feel like he could also have like Sir in front of his name for some reason when I was
Sir
reading
Richard Thomas. Sir Richard, yeah. Oh, that's good.
As I was reading about your experience with him, I kept in my head, Sir Richard Thomas.
He would love that. Sir Richard Thomas, yeah.
He was a model for you as what someone who could be a professional artist, and that it didn't have to be a side hustle, that this could be a career. And he also was a teacher for you. You worked in his gallery?
Yeah. So I was his assistant in his art gallery. He was also an art teacher. So he was an art teacher who owned an art gallery,
that's cool,
which was phenomenal. How do you do both of those things at the same time? And then he had some of his students visiting his gallery in the evening, and he would work with them. So I was one of those students, which I don't know, to this day, I don't know how he did that, because I was a teacher. There's no way I would have brought my students home too and worked with them like that. If I had a gallery, brought them to the gallery, like that's way too much. So I don't know how he did it, but I'm so grateful that he did.
He took you in almost as a son too.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that I loved him for was, he treated me like I was his son. My mom left my biological father when I was 5, and then she divorced my stepfather when I was like 17. He was abusive, and so I felt like I didn't have a good example of what a father was.
Abusive to y'all? And
yeah, he was abusive to my mom and to my siblings, 3 brothers and 1 sister, 5 of us. So you're physically and mentally abusive. So I didn't have an example of how to be a father, But one thing that I did understand, how they say hurt people hurt people. Well, maybe that was his story, but that wasn't going to be mine.
Right.
I understood what my mom was, a very compassionate person. So I could see the difference in the two of them. So, but anyway, so Richard Thomas was also he's very loving. Like he's a very, compassionate, giving person. So he gave me my first paintbrush and canvas and paint, and said, okay, I'm going to show you how to paint. Then when you sell this one, I want you to buy more paint supplies for yourself. And that got the ball rolling. He did that for so many students.
Yeah. Not just you. Right.
Yeah. Right.
And imagine that trickle down effect, that even if they didn't become artists as you, still that personal impact.
Yeah.
On Sir Richard Thomas, like what was something, you said the love and the compassion that he brought, but what was it in his personality, or what was in him that you had not yet experienced? I would imagine you hadn't yet experienced in the other male role models in your life that just struck you as being something so different.
Yeah, I think that he had an overall sense of what it meant to be a father, and also to have a career, like to be driven. And to me, that wholeness of having a career, being a father, and then a husband as well, he just looked like a whole man. Right. It was an example that I hadn't had before. Yeah. So I think, and as teens, either you think you know everything and know you can't learn anything from any adults because they don't know anything, or you take the opposite approach and you make yourself smaller. I was making myself smaller, and until I met Richard Thomas, and so that I loved, and I didn't understand that at the time, but I know what it is. I love the fact that I could have an idea and put it on a surface, and then some other people could look at it and say, "Oh, that's beautiful," and they'll want to buy it.
Wow. Yeah.
That it made me feel like my thoughts and my mind was good,
Had value.
had value.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And others saw this value and appreciated it.
Right, and they wanted a piece of it.
And you stayed in close contact with Richard since.
Yeah, I've stayed in close contact with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he recently had brain surgery too, and that was really traumatic for him, which changed his life. And his life looks different now than it did before. He almost died, and he thought, what am I doing?" So he'd always say this thing that he wanted to, before he left the earth, he wants to paint on his porch because he admired this other artist that he saw who was painting on his porch, just like in the sunlight, and nothing to worry about. He's doing that now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Have you done it with him?
No.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I know. It would be cool.
So you talked about going to NOCA, the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts. For those who aren't from here, or even those who are and aren't familiar with it, tell us how special it was. That was just, I mean, that was probably also a really big step towards where you are now.
Yeah. So New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, NOCA. I didn't know what I was getting into when the teachers told me I should go to NOCA. It sounded good to me, so I was like, "Oh, yeah,
something different."
Yeah. So NOCA is a pre-college art school, and a bunch of the art disciplines are there. NOCA prepares you for college, basically, because when I got to Xavier, which is my alma mater, I knew about figure drawing. And I mean, there was the difference. You couldn't have nude figure drawings like in college, but they had bathing suits on, right? So in high school, but I knew what I was doing. When we got to ceramics, I had already taken ceramics class. So all those disciplines, or all those areas in that discipline, I knew about, and I wasn't intimidated. Whereas most students who were coming in there, they only did one thing. If they drew well, they were like, "Oh, I want to go for art," or whatever. NOCA
exposed
really
you.
prepared. Yeah, NOCA prepared me for college life.
And you went to Xavier and you studied.
Yeah, I went to Xavier and I studied fine art.
And that's also where you met Stephanie, your wife?
Yeah.
Okay. How did y'all meet? What did that look like?
So my wife, she didn't go to Xavier. I didn't meet her there. Everybody thinks that, though.
Okay.
She went to UNO, and I met her through a mutual friend. And what we would do is I would go to her classes with her at UNO, and she'd go to my classes with me at Xavier. So
for the education of each other's classes, or just to spend time together?
Just to spend time together. So, the professor would always wonder if I was in the class or not, and vice versa. So people at UNO thought I went to UNO.
That's awesome.
And they thought she went to Xavier.
I don't know that I knew you could do that, or I don't know that I ever thought about doing that in college. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's how it went. But she was a psychology major. And so which was nice because I got to listen to some psychology courses.
Right. It's way more interesting than if she was a physics major.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But physics is interesting too.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did y'all actually meet?
So we met through a mutual friend. She knew that I was single, and there was a friend of hers who was interested in dating me. So she asked my friend, she'd say, "Hey, do you mind if I get Terrance's number? I want to call him and hook him up with my friend." So he's like, "Yeah." So she calls me. She's like, "Hey, Terrance, there's a friend of mine. This is Stephanie. There's a friend of mine who likes you, who thinks you're really cute. And can I give her your number?" I liked how she sounded on the phone. So I was like, no, I didn't. I don't get my number. Because I wanted to talk to her.
Right.
So we ended up talking till like 5:00, and then the next day she called. "You sure you don't want me to give her the number?" I was like, "No, I want to talk to you." So that's basically, we started dating at that point.
She seems like just a really, I mean, to say like a good fit is just, that's not even the words for it.
Yeah.
How do you describe Stephanie to other people?
So she's Yeah, I just recently learned that word, but she's a siren, right? Because she was telling me about that, where I was like, that's you, right? Uh, there's this presence that she has when she enters a room that you have to pay attention to. And so she's
In a
also,
peaceful way.
yeah, she's very peaceful.
Right.
She's very sweet. Um, she's also very business minded. So that and that's something that I realized I needed when I met her. I didn't realize I needed it until I did. And so you know, I think that every artist needs someone who is linear minded and who can keep things in order, because artists are very unorganized. Artists are always late. I was late to this interview, see? Yeah. But if you can, I think if you can find, artists are right brain. If you can find a left brain person, then marry them,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Because you can't, and that's the nature of artists.
Yeah.
Like they need that. And Stephanie's always been a very structured, linear
Yeah.
thinking person. Um, and then eventually an artist needs to do it on his own. So I basically learned all of my business sense and structure from Stephanie, and then I can do it. But
Right.
that, I think that's what it takes. You pull each other
The
to that
strengths.
center, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the sweet spot. Yeah,
You were a teacher, you said. And
yeah.
what grade, what age did you teach?
I was a teacher at from elementary school. I the main school was my elementary school, but I jumped around from school to school. So I had a chance to teach kids from elementary all the way to high school.
And you taught art?
Yeah, I
Did
taught art.
you love it? Did you just like it okay?
Yeah. Well, so teaching was okay. I wouldn't go back to the school and teach, but I do like teaching without the commitment, like the
Yeah.
long term commitment.
Yeah.
So I love talking to art students and artists. So that's really how I do it.
And then I would imagine that working as a teacher, you've at least got that security there. You're doing art on the side. And it was Katrina, and it was being away from New Orleans during Katrina that sort of catapulted that decision
Yeah.
to take this full time as an artist.
Yeah. So Katrina really was the thing that pushed me out and allowed me to just pursue my art. Because it's not easy going from working and punching a clock to
Right.
just doing art full
Right.
time.
And it's probably scary.
Oh, it's scary. It's very scary. And artists don't want, if you have a family. I mean, I have a wife and three kids.
Right.
There's no way
Right.
I'm gonna say, oh
Right.
yeah, let me go be a starving artist,
Right.
right? It's
Right. It's
no,
not possible.
no. But Katrina said, okay, get out and do it. And then of course Stephanie knew that was my dream, to just do my artwork. So she encouraged me to do that.
Now, as you're painting, because you've done commissions for huge organizations. What was the maybe, I don't know if intimidating is the right word, but what was the biggest or the most intimidating commission you've done yet to date?
Most intimidating today is probably, I did a painting for Raising Cane's mural. It's about almost 100-foot mural. I had to do it.
I saw images of you like on the crane.
Yeah, and that's fine. I've done a bigger mural than that before. The intimidating part was the amount of time, and I had to get it right.
Oh.
So this was like, I had 2 weeks to paint this large mural, and that was, to date, it's my highest paid job. So Todd Graves, who's basically the wealthiest man in Louisiana, was like, "Can you do it?" And so I said yes. I was like, "Oh my God!" Right?
And then he's like,
"Yeah,
tomorrow."
Yeah, like tomorrow, right? He needed it to be done before the Super Bowl.
I would imagine there might be certain kind of, I guess, like constraints or asks that you're trying to maybe fulfill. So I'd imagine those commissions might feel more pressure than when you're just painting.
So what I do is I work on a commission piece, and then I find a gap where I can work on my own stuff, and I do that, and then I work on the next commission piece because I need that. If I just continue working on commission pieces, I'm not going to be happy.
That's what I was going to ask is how do you, and before I get asked this question, tell me how many Jazz Fest posters you've done now.
I've done 6 Jazz Fest posters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're out at Jazz Fest every year too, with a booth there.
We're out there every year. We've been out there probably since the late 90s.
And so 6. And I would imagine that's another level of pressure, and there's the big reveal, and there's a lot around that. So when you have that, whether it's pressure that you're putting on yourself or like that, like doing this tremendous project and having such a tight deadline, what are some of the things that you do, or do you do them, or do you find that you don't do well at this, but that are protecting that mental well-being? And that, like, what are some of the things that are like your non-negotiables personally?
Non-negotiables. So okay. So I'm hearing 2 questions. Are you asking me about what do I do to find peace, or what will I not do?
What will you do that keeps you, even in those times of intense pressure, that keep you still having your own sense of peace and feeling grounded and as centered as might be possible in those high pressure times?
Oh yeah. So I think the thing that grounds me the most, it's going to sound weird, but I abandon the peace when it's really stressful, and I go in the garden and I pull weeds. Yeah, I know that's weird, but that's what I do. I said, okay.
It doesn't sound weird at all.
Yeah, I pull weeds, and then I return to it and I look at it again.
We had something actually just yesterday that I was feeling really sad about, just sad. And I don't often find myself just really sad, and tears are coming out, and I thought, I've got to go weed. I just sat in the grass and it was those frustrating little dollar weeds that spread. And I was like, it's
therapeutic.
Yeah. So something like that. What about, is there certain, thinking about Stephanie's influence, is there certain breath work or meditation or things that you do that kind of have your head in a certain space as you're in those windows?
Yeah. So Stephanie's a meditation guide. She does meditation in a different way than I do. My meditation is action meditation. So I'm painting, and there's this place that you get to in the middle of meditation, and I learned this from Stephanie, that there's this place called the gap, if you've heard of it. The gap is a place where you, in between meditation or in between thinking, that you stop thinking. And then once you realize you've stopped thinking, then you're out of the gap. So the more you meditate, the wider the gap gets where you stop thinking. And so when I'm painting, that's a place that I get to. I'm completely absorbed by the painting, and I forget that I'm involved in anything else other than painting. I'm completely absorbed into those brush strokes, into light and shadow. It's almost like I am light and shadow. I'm the sun expressing itself in the form of paint, and shadows of that. So it's a lovely spot to be in.
It's also a beautiful thing that the work that could also, and probably does at times, bring you that stress is the same exact process that is bringing you to that space.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. It is. And it's like, I think being obsessed with something that you absolutely love doing, there's no way you can ignore it. It's just gonna take over your life. And that's what it takes. All people who are artistic and successful are completely obsessed with what they're doing.
Was there ever a time that you almost didn't do it? Something that a person, an experience, something that caused doubt or almost caused you to go in a different direction and abandon this?
There is never a time where I didn't do it. But there are times still when I think I can't paint. I think my art's not good. Yeah. Uh,
Wow.
hmm. um, and it's short, but
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 the
it
self
happens.
doubt
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and what do you do when that self doubt comes?
I keep going. It's I know that I have to finish it because the next one I could do another piece that would feel better. So some of them I just don't want to look at. Like it didn't land where I want it to, and so it stays in the graveyard. but uh, but I can always create another one, or the better version of it that lands in the way that I wanted it to.
Some of that is probably that element of self doubt that I think all of us experience, but we forget that others experience it.
Yeah,
It's we think and we have all these questions about ourselves, and then we look at someone like you and we would think it would never cross our minds that you would have that. Some of it is probably that self doubt, and then some of it is the perfectionism.
yeah, yeah. That word, like perfectionism, that I used to love that, but that I think it's one of those things that's worked for me early on, and I could use it well, but now I know there's no such thing. So it's really like um, it's more of a hindrance than it was. So now I'm looking for freedom.
Right.
That's my preferred word
You're right.
or preferred energy.
I
Yeah.
think so too. I hadn't really defined it that way, but I think I would have formally defined myself as you want everything to be just right.
Hmm.
And now that's not, you realize also it doesn't, it not only doesn't have, it doesn't have to be, it also doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it
Yeah.
is. And it's not always best if it's
Yeah.
just right. So a
Right.
lot of times
Yeah.
it's the flaws are the best part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that thing I talked about how we're human. People aren't looking for perfection. That's not really what they
Right.
want.
Right.
They want to find the human element in whatever it is that you're doing. So, because we're social animals, you know, we we want to um, see ourselves in other people. Because I mean, if you think of it the other way, the most divisive frame of mind is the one that wants to see everyone as not the same.
Right.
As you're not me.
Right.
You're the other, and then you can, you know, give someone a title and make them that in order to hurt them. So that's the end of it that
Right.
goes in the other direction.
Right.
So yeah, so I'm like, we are the same.
Right.
I'm human. When someone's standing in front of me and talking to me, I know that I'm human in the same way
Right.
that they are.
Right.
So that's what I see.
I believe so much that so many people we talk with them, if we just ask enough questions and listen enough, even if it's someone that at first you wouldn't think you have anything in common with, or there's nothing likable about them, there's going to be something.
Yeah.
There's going to be something.
Yeah, that's like that quote. You can learn something from every
Everyone.
person you meet.
Yeah.
Like no matter what.
Tell me, there was something that I read that you said or saw on a video that you said, and then I couldn't go back and find it. And I looked and I wasn't able to put my fingers on it. You talk about at a certain age, we're no longer a product of our environment. And I'm paraphrasing. So how did you say it? It was that, do you remember what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
It was
But
about that we no longer can blame our upbringing or our parents or these other influences, and we have to own who we are and the actions that we have.
I mean, that sounds great to me that you're saying it. But that's definitely something that I believe. At some point we have to grow up. And I don't mean disregard what is
Shaped
painful or shamed us or anything like that. Like give it its space and realize that it doesn't define you. And so, because you can stay crippled in that mind frame, and you'll have supporters if that's what you want. You can find people who those ideas resonate, but you will never heal yourself. The healing comes when you realize that no one else is going to fix it, and that that you are not that situation, um, that you experienced it, and that's it. You can't utter what you are. So yeah.
On the topic of well-being, I knew that I wanted to talk with you about some of the mindset and how you continue to have yourself live in the space of peace. Um, do you feel like as your art has grown and as there's even just more visibility and more awareness and more opportunities, do you does it turn into a sense of pressure for you at times, or do you separate from that, or do you ever feel that there's um, that it is something that feels almost like insurmountable? I guess, does it cause
So
you angst or does it drive
yeah.
you?
So one of the things that I wanted when I was younger, when I first started um, really practicing my art, is I wanted to be famous. Right? And so I've told my kids like that it doesn't matter what reason you want it. If you want to be famous or you want money or whatever, those are legitimate reasons because they won't always be the reason.
Right.
And so now what I'm looking for is to be able to express my creative, my images, my artwork, express them without bounds. In that, I don't know if that's a realistic goal. I'm, I recently saw something that said they're not just two types. There's not just introvert and extrovert. There's, I think it was omnivert or
Okay.
something like that. So what it was, I might be mixing it up. We're like, omnivore. But anyway, it was this middle person
Okay.
where an extrovert is energized by social situations. An introvert is it takes away,
Right.
right? But this middle one is like you're energized by people, but you build up your battery when you're alone.
Is
So
that where you feel like you?
that's where I am. I've always been that way. Um, so I like I like ex- I like sharing my work socially. I could talk about it all day if I'm standing in front of a
Mhm.
crowd. It's like no problem.
Mhm.
But put me in front of a crowd without artwork. I I will shrivel up,
Yeah. Right.
Um so anyway, it's I think creating my social scene and my artistic career in the way that I want is the goal. That's what I want. That's freedom to me.
So as a dietitian, I can't not ask this because I always, and I always wonder as I see people that kind of do have this sense of balance and kind of just that level energy and balance. There's the nourishing our minds, the meditation and that mental well-being that we keep, but also then there's the movement, and then there's also nutrition. And so tell me, is that something that is important to you?
Yeah. So I spent the majority of my adult life working out. I just stopped working out about 2 years ago. Because I got some jobs and that just took a back seat. So I want to get back to it, but I'm easing into it.
What does Stephanie say about that?
Yeah, she doesn't have
She's
much to
fine.
say. Yeah, she's fun.
Because is she like, but you're easing into it, or
Yeah. I mean, well, she knows that once I make up my mind about it, I'm in.
What types of workouts were your usual that you enjoy the most?
Yeah, usually barbells and dumbbells, and also I'll get on the machine to run.
Like the elliptical or the treadmill?
Yeah, a treadmill. I'll mix that in between.
So you like gym, kind of gym based workouts versus
Yeah.
outdoors and things like that.
Yeah, I mean because I'm doing it to get it done.
Right.
I I'll go outdoors to enjoy myself.
Right.
Even if it's a long walk,
Yeah.
it's still, it's more to it's
Even when you
enjoyment.
haven't been like in the gym and doing like actual workouts, are you still doing walks and things like that? That's just sort of your head clearing time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Steph and I will do walks around the
Yeah.
neighborhood and stuff like that. She's more of that walker though.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've found more of peace away from it because it's so rigorous.
Yeah.
It's that I'm at another place right now where I realize that I can just be still. It
Right.
doesn't, and I'll get back to it. I know I will,
Yeah.
being more active, but right now I'm good with the stillness.
What
Uh,
about nutrition?
so yeah, nutrition, I go back and forth. It's the same thing. Most of my adult life, I've I've eaten pretty well. Steph, I have this folder that's on my phone of all the salads that Stephanie has made for me, right? And
Like
so
photos of them?
yeah, photos. It's crazy, but so she tends to make what I like. She'll ask me, well, what kind of salad you want? She knows I like salads, so she'll make it. I mean, they look like my paintings. They're
That's cool.
colorful and
Right.
gorgeous.
What about when you are on those like long, like I would imagine on those days that you're on a long deadline, the Raising Cane's 2 week turnaround deadline, how long were you painting in those days? Like eight
Yeah,
hours?
I was painting sun up to sundown on that Raising Cane's
And what do
series.
you do to fuel your body then? You drink a lot of water.
Yeah, definitely. So I drink a lot of water. I don't eat a lot
Okay.
during that time though, because eating will slow me down.
Yeah.
So I usually have one meal a day.
And you're just, but staying hydrated.
Stay high. Yeah,
Yeah.
just water and work.
Yeah.
And somewhere around, I don't eat in the morning. I might have a coffee, but
Mhm.
somewhere around like 2 to 5, I'll have a meal.
And it gets you over
And
that hump and then you keep working.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it'll take care of the hunger,
Yeah.
and then not too much either. So that's important. Like I'm not going to stuff myself.
Right.
It's eating is not the most important thing
Right.
at that point. So I mean, I almost take it like
It's almost like an
intermediate
athlete in a
intermediate.
funny
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah, like
Or
an
intermittent
athlete. Yeah.
fasting.
Intermittent fasting. Yeah, it's sort of
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I'm energized by it too,
Yeah.
because I'm on the adrenaline of getting the piece
Right.
done too.
Right. Is there anything else from a specific wellness that you feel like is food, movement, sleep, spiritual, anything that we haven't covered that is like part of your core?
Yeah, well, definitely sleep. Sleep is very important. For me, sleep will determine my mood, and my mood determines my work. So it's become very important. And earlier it wasn't.
Yeah.
In my 20s, I would stay up all
You
night.
don't even think about it.
Yeah, yeah.
We would always say like, I can
yeah,
sleep later. Yeah.
yeah, right. Sleep later. But now it's like I realize that I do have ways of getting to places that I'm enjoying, because all I have to do is start working. When I start working, it puts me in a good mood, and then I put on the right music.
Right.
All that works
Right.
together. So when I sleep well, I mean, it makes it like heaven. Like really, my perfect idea, or my perfect time to work is I go in the gallery, I go in the studio, open the window, the sun's shining in, I've slept well. My work is there and it's radiating because the light's hitting it and it feels good. And I just enjoy myself because I feel rested. Uh, the work is the work is beautiful. The music sounds good.
Right.
It's a whole vibe. But definitely it starts with the rest.
Is there anything that is something that people don't know about you that would surprise them? As we talk about sort of what drives you, what gives you that center, gives you that peace. That's sort of that
Oh, yeah.
core.
So my mom was, when I was younger, was Pentecostal, and then my stepfather was Catholic, and my biological father was Baptist. So I went to all of those churches throughout my childhood. Of course, by high school, I was confused. Uh, so when I went to Xavier, so I went to college, I majored in art and minored in theology because I wanted to study them all. And I found Buddhism. So I loved Buddhism because Buddhism was one of those things that religions that denounced itself. If you were really, really Buddhist, then you weren't. So
Right.
so I like that. It was sort of rebellious, but at the same time, there's this, it, it worked well with what I was doing with my art. I understood its words, like, I understood the language of peace and being, to be in the moment. Those things resonated with me, so naturally I moved to that. So I was Buddhist for, it's, we even raise our kids like as Buddhist. Uh, but now there's nothing that I tie to like that.
It probably still serves as some of those guiding principles and just how you live your life, how you choose to react to
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I mean, Buddhism is still, it's more like Eastern thought,
Yeah.
is still very, very relevant to me, and I borrowed a lot from it. I just don't tie to anything
Right.
necessarily.
It seems like in all aspects too, whether it's the space of the gallery, um, you are very tuned in to how do I feel about what this current either experience or this current feel is, the current whatever the situation is. You're very tuned into how is this affecting you, and if it's working for you, okay, we keep it, and if it's
Yeah.
not, you're not just staying in it. You're looking
Yeah.
to see how do we shift into what we need.
Yes, that's so important.
Yeah.
I learned a word recently, metacognition, right? And I love that because the metacognition means being aware of how you're thinking. So it's like not just thinking, that's like one level, but being aware of your thinking allows you to do something about it. Um, so that's very important to me. I want to see what's healthy for my mind. I want to do what's healthy, and that's really what it is. Being aware of how you're thinking and your habits allows you to do something about it, not just run on automatic.
What strikes me is the world that you have around you is a world that, saying that you've created this world around you seems, it's been such an organic creation, and it's the world of family, of art, of creating, but it's not just happenstance and it's not just by chance, but it also hasn't been super strategic and pushing and driving forward, but it's been this very, it seems like, gentle balance of feeling what that next best step feels like and taking that step in spite of fears.
Yeah, yeah, and it sounds cliche, but it's like what we ultimately want is to be happy, and that word's thrown around a lot, but really that's what it's about. That if I can say that there's a reason, the reason why we're here is to be happy. Like that's what else is
Right.
there? Because when you're happy, you're creating in the great place. Your body knows you're happy. Your body knows you feel good. It creates a healthy result. Your mind is healthy. So it's like that's what we want. Like what makes us happy, and not necessarily like let me go and get a massage. Let me go shop. That's going to make me. Let me buy a watch. Yeah, that'll do something.
Right.
But that's not core where core happiness comes from. Happiness is contentment.
I really am grateful for you sitting down and sharing this from afar as a fan. When you pick up on that sense of peace and contentment and kindness. And so thank you for letting us just kind of like go deeper and exploring everything that drives that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Molly. That's great.
And we'll put all the information of your social and everything on the show notes of the podcast. And then as this podcast drops, it'll be right before Jazz Fest. So
perfect.
Yeah. So as
Nice.
anybody's listening, y'all definitely go stop by and see Terrance at Jazz Fest.
Great.
Right. Thank you so much. So grateful to Terrance for carving out this time, sitting down with us, sharing not only, the backstory of how he is doing what he loves and how that came to be, but also his mindset and his philosophy and kind of how he lives his life. And I think it's inspiring for me to hear. I'm grateful that he's sharing a story here, and I'll also be taking some of this content and turning it into a column for The Advocate. We have about monthly recovering, inspiring stories of people who have, just people who I guess just inspire me, and I see from afar or sometimes see up close and say, man, this is a really cool story. We want to share it. So that's also going to be landing in The Advocate in addition to this podcast. And let me know what you think. If there's things that Terrance shared that resonated with you, I always want to hear about it. I am registered dietitian Molly Kimball, and you've been listening to Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, the podcast. If you'd like more Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, please head over to mollykimball.com, and you can follow me, Molly Kimball RD, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you haven't yet, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join us next time for another dose of Fueled Wellness and Nutrition. Thanks for listening, and stay focused on living your strongest, healthiest life.